haven't been completely consistent. I finally got out some old bird netting that we'd put down years ago out on the lawn to keep something from digging it up. And I thought maybe that was going to work, but today I'm discovering something got in under it, and there were a couple green ones with a bite and left. What in the world can you do?
Well, more than likely it is a squirrel. And I always tell people the good thing about squirrels, a lot of times they take a bite and leave you the rest. So they're at least trying to share it with you, and they're trying to be kind, but I can almost guarantee you that's what it is. And they are very good at doing that, and they're very good at getting under netting and get up in there and get the tomatoes. So the netting is probably one of the most effective ways to do this. The problem is you have to anchor it down at the ground so that it is down at the ground so that they can't pull that up or push through anywhere. And wherever, obviously, the netting comes together, if you have to splice it, you need to make sure that that's all sealed up also. And it may be a combination of using some PVC pipe and making a frame, using little pieces of 2x4 around the base and wrapping that around it and making sure that those are anchored down into the ground so they can't pick those up. But you've got to put that anchor at the bottom so that they can't pick up that netting. Otherwise, they'll go right underneath it. They know how to pull that apart and get inside there. But the netting, physical barriers, that's your sure cure. That's the best way to keep them out. But now you have to make sure you're creative enough that you seal everything up and that you seal off the bottom so that they can't pick that thing back up. I used to make what I call them critter cages. And I would make, take PVC pipe, like 1-inch PVC pipe, and make rectangular cages that would fit over an entire tomato. So when they were in containers, you just put this whole thing over the container, and I would put the netting around the whole thing, or chicken wire, and attach it, and then it just sat down on the ground, and you couldn't get in it unless you picked it up. So you harvested, you picked it up, you harvested, you put it back over the top. Of course, I kind of got away from that and started doing more of a PVC hoop with the netting over the top and anchoring down the bottoms as well and sealing off the ends and then picking it up to harvest and putting it back down. But you've got to seal it off so that they can't get between that and the ground, and that's what it takes. But I can almost guarantee you that it's squirrels. Now, you can try, there's a bunch of squirrel repellents out there. You can spray around the base of the plant with the squirrel repellents. They're not all that effective. I have found cinnamon to be fairly effective as far as a squirrel repellent. But again, physical barriers are your only sure protection or physical removal against the squirrels. Jeff, got about a minute and a half to go.
Well, the garlic came in really big.
All right.
I harvested it. It's looking good.
Good. Good for you.
The hardnecks grew real good.
Good. And you planted those last fall, correct?
Yes, I did.
Yep.
And I got quite a harvest from that. Okay, so I've got one quick question. Well, a bunch of them. Okay, so you went on the topic of this tomato rot thing,
right?
And blossom rot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm experiencing that a little bit in a few areas, and I just was calling you earlier, but I've been on hold for quite a while, and I was at the feed place, and I bought ag lime to supplement my greenhouse stuff, where the tomatoes had probably 1 or 2% rot.
Right.
Where the bottom of the tomato just like eats itself. I can't explain it better.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so do you think that my friend was telling me I should have used bone meal, but that would cost a lot of money to spread quite a bit? The ag lime raises the pH, but also provides the calcium that I may or may not need. You just touched on the subject of perhaps I don't need calcium. It's just it's not being able to uptake it properly.
Yeah, here's the deal, and we've seen this more and more, Jeff, and just keep listening here because we're kind of breaking in and out there. It is a lack of calcium in the fruit, and so it used to be just make sure you add calcium to the soil. Well, I still put calcium in the soil, all the container plantings. I still do it every year. But the big thing is the factor is making sure it gets to the fruit, and there are a whole bunch of factors that can cut back from heat to stress to not being rooted in, and the biggest culprit is improper watering, where it doesn't have sufficient moisture all the time to move that through. So even watering is very, very important with tomatoes right now to keep that calcium moving. That has been the main factor of calcium not getting to the fruit. I personally don't use the lime. It is a source of calcium because of the changing of the pH. You could look at gypsum, which doesn't change the pH, But here's what I use, calcium nitrate. Probably one of the best products to use to add calcium to your tomatoes, calcium nitrate. Use that if you need to add calcium. But even watering, that's going to be the factor to making sure that gets all the way through it. You don't see it as much later in the season because they're rooted in better. But that's the big factor. Thanks to all of our callers. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks, of course, to Emily, Vincenza, Clark Taylor, our producer, because without Emily, none of this stuff would happen. Now, do yourself a favor. It's hot out there, so stay cool, keep watering, and make it the best weekend of your life. See ya.
From the Elk and Elk Studios, Elk and Elk, working for every client every day. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. News Radio 610 WTVN.
It's been a couple of years ago now. I welcomed the team of Simple Bath into my house. They totally rejuvenated my bathroom, and I have been thrilled ever since. I mean, it looks as good today as the day they completed it. A huge upgrade for my house. Maybe you've looked at the summer and you thought you had a little money set aside for a family vacation, but with the coronavirus concerns still out there, you're just not ready to pull the trigger. Why not take that money, invest it in the house, and make yourself smile for the future? Give them a call and get scheduled. 888-BATH or simplebathohio.com.
Peak Performance for Men is taking all precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. While we realize this is a unique time, each clinic is doing their part to sanitize and keep everyone safe. We are still booking appointments and look forward to your call. Erectile dysfunction for men of all ages has become much more common. In fact, most men don't realize that 90% of erectile dysfunction is a direct result of broken down old blood vessels. This causes a lack of blood flow, which is critical in achieving an erection. With our state-of-the-art technology, we're able to rid those blood vessels of the plaque and scar tissue buildup to stimulate new stem cell growth, right in our office with no downtime, no medications, and no pain. To book your consultation and get back to your natural functionability, call 614-739-8181. That's 614-739-8181. Get the intimacy you deserve naturally. Call now, 614-739-8181. That's 614-739-8181.
Wild Birds Unlimited.
Now's a great time to start seeing new birds in your yard. Wild Birds Unlimited has the best bird food in town and feeders designed by experts that are sure to attract some new feathered friends. Wild Birds Unlimited in Dublin, Westerville, Reynoldsburg, and Canal Winchester, or visit online wbu.com/Columbus.
Wild Birds Unlimited. We bring people and nature together.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN, Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville, an iHeartRadio station.
I'm Dave Packer. American civil rights giant Congressman John Lewis has died. Praise is pouring in from both sides of the aisle for the man known as the conscience of Congress. ABC's Rachel Scott has more from Washington on some Republicans paying tribute to the titan of the civil rights movement.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell writing, "You do not need to agree with John on many policy details to be awed by his life, admire his dedication to his neighbors in Georgia's 5th District, or appreciate his generous, respectful, and friendly bearing." Lewis would lead bipartisan delegations to Selma, where he was beaten more than 50 years ago fighting for voting rights. Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy calling it one of the greatest honors of his life.
John Lewis was 80. More than 71,000 cases of COVID-19 reported in a single day. That number including 5,000 cases from a reporting backlog in Texas. Health officials are urging Americans to wear masks, but some political leaders are pushing back.
President Trump has made it clear he is not going to institute a national mask mandate. He says that goes too far, and a lot of other state leaders agree with him. For example, the governor in Georgia is suing the mayor of Atlanta. He's actually issued an executive order overruling local mask mandates because he says he trusts Georgians to do the right thing.
ABC's Trevor Ault. Law enforcement in Florida using helicopters to break up large so-called COVID-19 parties. In Chicago, protesters and police clashing in Grant Park Friday night after several hundred demonstrators tried to tear down a statue of Christopher Columbus following a Black Lives Matter rally in the city. ABC's Eric Horing is in Chicago.
We saw protesters throwing bottles and full soda cans at police, even shooting off fireworks, apparently injuring multiple officers. The fire department says at least 4 members of the crowd were also injured and taken to a hospital in good condition. We also saw several arrests here at the scene.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg revealing her cancer's return, but chemotherapy's keeping it in check. You're listening to ABC News.
Yesterday was the second Friday in a row that Ohio reported the highest daily number of COVID-19 cases in one day, 1,679 according to the State Health Department. The previous record, 1,525 reported last Friday. Health officials want younger Ohioans to be aware that, yes, they too can get COVID-19.
Interim Director for the Ohio Department of Health, Lance Himes, has called on teens and young adults in the Buckeye State to take precaution to protect not only themselves but others around them against the dangers of the coronavirus, as more younger people have been testing positive lately. Himes says it is important that young people stay home and away from others if they are sick, practice social distancing, and wear masks when they go out in public. He also says to avoid gathering or huddling in large crowds or groups, while adding that sharing hugs and drinks shouldn't be done. I'm Sean Gallagher.
A bill that would have lowered the penalties for violating state health orders and taken power away from the state of Ohio and local health departments has been vetoed by Governor Mike DeWine, who said he made the call about Senate Bill 55 because now is not the time to change tactics that impede the state's ability to protect Ohioans. Cuyahoga County Executive Armin Budish says they've received 1,400 phone calls on a hotline that was set up to report violations of the order issued by Governor DeWine to wear a face mask in public.
The locations seem to be focused on several shopping malls, big retail and grocery stores, and gas stations.
Calls have been referred to the Cuyahoga County Board of Health and the City of Cleveland Health Department. In Hilliard, police are investigating after a Franklin County Sheriff's deputy left a loaded gun in a bathroom of a Target store. WSYX-TV reports the weapon was discovered at the store on Truman Boulevard, one round in the chamber and a full magazine. A photo of the gun later posted on the website Reddit. I'm Tom Moore.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTVN.
Attention all thrifters. Those awesome finds you get at Goodwill are even awesomer than you may realize. Because as a nonprofit, Goodwill uses your purchases to fund job training and more in our neighborhoods. Learn more at goodwill.org.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1979. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1979. That's 800-777-1979. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon and welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil. If you're watching on Facebook, it appears to be a studio, again, with no one in it. You know, this whole social distancing stuff, it would appear that none of us are here. But finally, after 2 years in the making, of course, it was our fault for lasting so long, 2 years in the making, today we go ahead and debut the new set. So if you're on Facebook, watch it there. Look at that. Huh? We are here. Look at that. You guys on there?
We just got to
get there.
Hey.
The
new set.
The new set.
The new set. And you know what?
Tell us what.
We're not on television. Why do we have this?
Huh?
We are too on television. I'm watching this right now.
Really?
And
on the little screen, not the big screen.
That's right. So it has been 2 years in the making. And if you are watching today, you can see that our new set is finally done. And I'll tell you what, I have to give a shout out to our good friends over at Proforma. Wow. Have they delivered on this? It is absolutely incredible. It's
really nice.
And it really throws us into the next level of some of the things we want to do.
Broadcasting.
It
That's
does.
right.
It truly does. And
Whatever level that is, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
right off number one, just barely.
Yeah,
into it.
we're in the basement, but we're headed up the stairs.
So if you're watching the set, we are actually, the appearance is we're set up downrange, looking back at the shooters. And the reason for that, as you know here, there's never anything we do without reason and forethought. The reason for that is that we give you a different perspective on some of the hot topics of today, on firearms ownership and everything else, and that's how we came up with this. And
so this is from our bullet traps perspective. This is what they see. Okay,
that's right.
As the lead comes at them. All right.
That is right. So thanks again to our good friends over at Proforma, and guys, finally a new home here.
I like that, a different perspective. That's good.
There you go. Well, we are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you facts about our industry and about anything we discuss in hopes of making safe, responsible firearms owners out of our customers and our listeners. Today on the show, we should thank Mr. Jim Scanlon for jumping on with us last week. What a voice of reason and clarity, and we really need to rally behind such leaders as these. He was phenomenal.
He was great. So hats off to Jim. We appreciate that.
So we really appreciate that. Today, we, of course, will get you caught up on the events that affect all of us, and as we predicted, the unrest in society is now touching law-abiding, safe, responsible firearm owners. We'll hear about what Mayor Ginther says is the true reason for the spike in crime and violence. And I'll give you a little hint here. As you can imagine, he doesn't connect the dots that maybe it's because of the stand-down orders that he's given his police department. No, it's the safe, responsible gun owners, according to him, that have caused this spike in violence, and we need to do more about that. So we'll talk about that here in a bit. Of course, JC will touch upon industry news, and at 12:20, we'll get an update from my buddy Richie on some news about some of the largest firearms manufacturers and what they're doing. Some really interesting things that he has this week. Big Ed has the gun of the week. If we can get to that, Big Ed.
Yes.
Gun of the week. And if
one of my favorite toys.
It is. You know what? Now I used to have one. Now I kind of feel bad about getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And
I
so
want that one.
Hey, Ed, why is that pointing right at me?
Well, Phil,
it should be in a safe direction.
I was told by a very wise man that if you ever need somebody to cooperate, you just put the muzzle down facing them.
I see. So then I can't give you any crap like I normally do.
You should just slide it a little this way.
I think it's a deterrent for you.
Deterrent?
Yes. Does it work?
It's the perception.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that if that goes off, it's going to hit the bobblehead.
Then it's going to continue on.
And I'm not the bobblehead.
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah, you never know.
We, of course, want to hear from you anytime. Our number is 614-821-9886 is the number. We'd like to thank our sponsors, TTG Technologies, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, the Trigger Group, Blackwing Shooting Center, and River's Edge Cutlery, all who make the show possible each week. Joining me today in the LAPD studios, JC, sits to my right. Always good to see you. And I'll tell you what, another heavy news day.
There's just so much news going on. We could do the whole show on news, honestly.
And you know what?
There's a lot of stuff happening.
In all honesty, if we could get a couple sponsors, we'd take this to a second hour. And maybe we need to do that on Facebook. We talked about that today, Ed.
Yes.
You know, we could do a second hour, and maybe we're going to start considering that, another hour
on
Facebook.
So folks out there, know anyone who would want to be a sponsor of the show?
All right, but yeah,
we can double time it.
There you go. We had people,
good.
Last week we had people saying they wanted to see a 2-hour show. So
My father and co-owner sits to my left. Once again, Papa, you are the cool kid on the block with your new ride, the big green puppy.
I am always the cool kid on the block.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, speaking of block, we had a block party last night.
I heard that.
Yeah, and I kind of showcased the green puppy, which happens to be a zero-turn John Deere lawnmower.
Really?
I figured that after so many years of cutting grass and walking behind, now I think I can ride a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
good luck flower beds. I'll be running through flower beds and everything else. Yeah.
Hey, on a different note, we were talking this week, and you, contrary to what you might see by the image here, Popo does a lot of reading, and you said you've. I thought people might think they might just think you look at pictures, but really,
well, I do that too. Okay.
You've got around to reading something that I wish I still need to read, the book on why Meadow died.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it opens your eyes big time. This Nicholas Cruz kid, he was problems when he was 2 years old. You know, he threw a 4-month-old baby in a swimming pool when he was 2 years old. I mean, the kid was problems all the way through. They allowed him to slip through time and
so
time
many
and time
times turned the other way.
And for those of you who didn't follow this, he was the shooter at the Parkland High School.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and the kid had all kinds of. I mean, he sent out all kinds of signals.
Right.
Well, he was arrested. He and his brother 47 times encounters with the police before all this happened. Do you think that would have been a clue?
Well, no, they have to wait till 49.
Yeah.
Right, and then we had the father of the child on with us, and I his name escapes me at the moment.
Andrew Pollack.
There you go.
Andrew Pollack.
Yep.
Right.
And
it's great having him on.
One of the toughest interviews when he talked to this guy whose daughter died, but how passionate he is.
I mean, him and a person, I can't think of the person's first name, is Mac is his last name, I think. They dug through all that, the crap that happened there.
And his daughter died trying to defend an underclassman, a freshman, clawing on top of her. But the guy
was
came
shot
up and
9
fired.
times. She was shot 9 times.
And he fired right through her into the other person.
I mean, the kid was bad news, and these administrators, the superintendents, continued to turn a blind eye to it.
Yep, it's incredible. Big Ed sits to my right, good friend. Big Ed, did you see me on TV this week?
You know, Eric, I have to actually say I did not. Because I didn't see a lot of TV this week. I've been pretty busy in my downtime, if you want to call it that.
It's probably for the better because the interview was it kind of stunk. I'll tell you the truth. So we did an interview on Monday with Channel 6, good partners. We do a lot with them. And the topic was, if you missed it, City Council was reviewing in their need to continually review every aspect of the police profession. They said that officers need more background checks because we're getting way too many officers who they find out later are part of these extremist groups, which is totally unfounded. So we did an interview and we talked about the background that needs to be done for each officer before they become an officer. And it's sometimes the process can last over a year. So, I mean, it starts out with an aptitude test and you have to score so high. And if you get in with the department, there's not only a background check on your criminal history, but your driving history, your financial history. They talk to neighbors, they talk to ex-teachers. I mean, this is what happens every time an officer gets hired. In addition to that, most departments do either a polygraph or a voice stress analysis, and then they have evaluations with psychologists. So this is all stuff that's been going on for a long time. When the interview came out, of course, I stated all that, but there was a one-liner that they used.
They cut it down to nothing.
The gist of the interview was a Councilwoman Shayla Favor, who. I don't know how you get to this position and not have your facts, because the soundbite from her was, I can't believe that they only go through a 15-minute polygraph for officers. 15 minutes? I actually called a buddy, a good friend of the family who retired from CPD. He was a very well-renowned polygraph expert. And I asked him, I said, just appease me. I said, how long did a typical polygraph occur when you're talking about new hires? And he said, Eric, he says, 2 to 3 hours easy, depending on the rabbit hole you go down. I said, how on earth then do they come out and they say to public, and now it looks like fact, that it took 15 minutes for a polygraph for an officer? Totally unfounded and fictitious.
That's what they do. Eric.
And they let it run.
Yeah, and they let it run.
So Councilman Favor just went out, and either without doing research or someone gave her really bad information, she didn't check it out. She just basically lied to the public saying, hey, 15 minutes, we got to do something about it. When
A
really
politician
it can be
lie?
2-3 hours.
You know,
It's incredible.
You know, I have a better idea. Instead of defunding the police, why don't we
defund city council?
Defund politicians in general.
How about we put every one of those council members through the background check that an officer goes through?
Yeah, I'd like to see their polygraph. I would like to see their polygraphs.
Yeah, I mean, how
Hey,
about?
I like that
why,
idea.
Why don't we invite a council
Beautiful.
person? A council person
Because
to
they
call in.
wouldn't come on because they know they'd have to tell the truth.
No, I mean,
We'd
they
have to
don't
call
know
on.
they don't know the truth.
That's
I mean,
true.
they just want to.
But it's the same. You know what he just described is the same false narrative that's been going on with Black Lives Matter. It's
It is
Uh,
the same thing.
It is. There's no the
There's no
facts
end
don't
to it.
support it.
There's
you
no
know,
end.
and if you have a thought or a valid concern otherwise, you're boycotted. And if you're watching on Facebook again, I'm giving all
that
these
looks
promos for
good.
Facebook, guys. How about right here?
That looks refreshing.
This is
Wow.
our Goya coconut water.
Wow.
Have you heard that story this week, JC?
No, but I buy Goya products. I have for a long time.
So
They're
Goya
very good.
came out in support
For
of
vegetables.
the president. I think it was this week, and of course, the people on the left thought that was, man, if they do that, then we need to boycott them. I mean, that's crazy. Well, you can't have a thought opposed to yours.
No,
Yeah, right. that is their agenda.
Well, that
They
depends
are
on who
the-
you're asking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It is just crazy. If you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's 610WTVN.com. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts, and Facebook is a great place to watch it live and to go back and see the show after the fact. It sits out there. It also sits out there on YouTube as well. So it's neat to see that. Big Ed answers your questions during the show.
I
And
do.
actually, we'll talk to you on the breaks and stuff. We turn the commercials down, and you can hear from Big Ed there. When we get back from this break, we're going to go into break a hair early. We're going to get back and get to my buddy Richie. JC, we'll hit the news right at the bottom of the hour since there's so much of it.
There's so much of it.
And,
Good
and
idea.
get through some of that. Before we go to break, guys, though, a protest update. Please be careful if you're out traveling around today. The big protest that is going on downtown, there's actually the police rally down there.
A protest, it's a support.
It's a support, right.
A support rally.
The anti-police, that's basically what they are, came out and said that they were going to be there as well. They have since changed their venue to 161 and Sawmill Road. It started 20 minutes ago. So be very careful if you're in that area.
Wow.
Last week, Worthington, there were cars at 161 and Olentangy that got surrounded by them.
They're blocking the traffic.
Blocking the traffic. Please be careful if you're out and about today. When we come back from the break, we'll get to our friend Richie and then to the news at the bottom of the hour. We're on Target, broadcasting live from our new set at LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
I thank you, Eric. Hello there, Facebook fans. Just trying to do
He's
some.
there.
Just do some follow-up.
Coolness.
Is who? Hello, Em. How are you?
Are you talking to me?
Well, of course.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I hear you had a big surprise party last weekend.
I did, and I couldn't have done it without any of you guys.
Did you did your hubby, who I got to meet? He was I was instructing
Yes.
the class, and I made the class sing "Happy Birthday" to him. So,
I love it. Oh my gosh, he didn't tell me that part.
Oh, he didn't? Oh, I made the whole class
he
sing.
might have.
So.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Not really.
yeah. So anyway, it was great. He was great. It was really good meeting him. I told
No,
him again
he-
how lucky he was to have
Yeah,
you in
I
his
know.
life. Yeah.
So
He loved all of you guys, and I appreciate it.
Did you
so-
buy him a new birthday gun?
No, I bought him a CCW class. So
Oh, he's got to have a gun to go with it.
he has a ton.
Oh, okay.
You could probably look that up in your system.
Hey, Facebook fans, just so you know, Emily is our producer. She's the one you hear in the background. She's down at the 610 WTVN studios.
Yeah,
She really is the one who
fantastic.
keeps it all rolling.
Yeah,
Yes,
she really does.
She does.
is fantastic. So it was really good having your husband in the class.
What brand of headset are we wearing? They want to know.
Those are Audio Technicas.
Audio Technica. All right. So, hey, I want to give a special shout out on Facebook to my mother who is watching. Hello, Mom. Hope you're feeling well today. Thanks for bringing me dinner last night, by the way.
Wow.
30 seconds.
All right.
And we've got some other folks asking about having a class or us doing a segment in our show, Eric, on concealed carry.
Yep.
As well as the... I've just lost my train of thought. I apologize.
I'm cutting you off. For ABC 6, first warning weather for today. Lots of sunshine, hot and humid, high of 94. Tonight, mostly clear and warm, low of 74. For Sunday, mostly sunny, hot and muggy. Heat index could approach 100 degrees. It's high tomorrow, 96. Currently 87 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Reports at the top and 30 minutes past. Breaking news at once. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to On Target.
Come on, Ed,
There,
sing
right.
it.
I can't sing that high.
Huh?
I can't sing that high.
Welcome back to
Can't sing that low either.
Target. Are you guys done?
Second Amendment is what she
I
was
love
on.
this.
Sorry.
They,
Mary Ann would like us to do something, a segment on Second Amendment.
Yep.
I want to make a quick comment to Ed's mother, okay? Mother, mom.
Uh-oh.
I don't pick on Ed because I don't like him or anything. I go way back with Ed, and we used to have tremendous fun in the cruiser, and I like Ed, and that's why I tease with him. And then, of course, he gives it right back, but you don't hear that.
Right. I'm always nice to you, Phil.
Yeah. Also want to reach out and say hi to Aaron, who's listening today. Aaron, probably not his wife, Leslie. Go ahead.
Okay, there's the show.
All
Nice
right,
talk.
there we go.
Well, welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric. Joined today in our brand new studio.
Yeah.
If you're on Facebook, it is definitely worth checking out.
This is
I
so
tell you
cool.
what, this is really, really neat. And I'm here with my good friends. Big Ed sits to my far right. JC sits to my right. And you might be saying, well, why don't you all have masks on? We are taking everyone's temperature, even in between the breaks.
That's right. Look, Phil's
right.
taking his own.
That's right.
98.4 went up a tenth.
That's right. And Ed, you'll be happy to know, is still in the 80s. Cold as ice right there.
Cold as ice.
He's cold-hearted, too.
Speaking, I don't know what the segue is for this, but speaking of I don't know what we're speaking of.
You never
My
know.
buddy Richie is on the line. Are you there, Richard?
Richie.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good
Rich,
afternoon.
they're picking on me as usual. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hey, listen, for the record, guys, my polygraph test with Emily only lasted about 5 minutes.
Well, Richard, you for those who don't know who you are, you come on the show quite often. You have had your finger on the pulse of the firearms industry for a long time now. A trainer, you worked for some of the big names in manufacturing and distribution, so you really have a good idea. So we give you grief and horse around with you, but really we do value your thoughts. You and I, you sent me some information the last couple of weeks on some stuff going on. Some of it not all so good, and some of it just more updates. Tell us what you know about, I think, Glock and H&K right now.
Well, it was only a matter of time with Glock. Everyone knew this. They rolled out the Gen 5, and then they rolled out the 9mm first, and everyone was waiting for the 40 cal. Well, on the distribution level, Glock has just released that they are going to come out with the Gen 5, 22, and 23. They should be releasing it before the end of the year. They are accepting orders from distributors, so it was only a matter of time. The only thing I don't know is what's next, like a Gen 5 45 ACP, like a 30 or a 21, but that's right around the corner.
Wow. So we knew. I mean, that's kind of, we kind of foreshadowed that. Richie, in regards to Glocks, are they ever going to come out with like MOS on some of their small guns, the 43s, 48s? I mean, the market right now is really hitting a lot of that. Is that something you think they'll come out with?
Well, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Of course, they're going to come out with something on the smaller subcompact MOS like the 43s and the 48 and the 48Xs. It's only a matter of time. It's just that right now, I think Glock and a lot of manufacturers are focusing on just supplying their core line of firearms. I don't think we're in an atmosphere where they can roll out all of these new items, but I think it's only a matter of time.
Right. What? So that's good stuff with Glock. I mean, obviously they're still behind on production, like everyone else, trying to catch up. What have you heard on the H&K front?
Well, this came out of nowhere a couple weeks ago, and H&K USA has stopped accepting any purchase orders from their distributors. They have taken what they have for 2020, and that is it. We cannot submit any more POs for more product, which says a lot about their manufacturing capabilities here in the United States and also what is coming in from overseas because, well, let's face it, it's a German-based company. So a lot of the parts and, accessories come in from overseas. So with COVID-19 impacting this industry at multiple levels, it could be also a material issue. I'm not sure. They didn't elaborate, but so whatever is in there for POs right now or whatever's in your shelves is all you're going to see for 2020.
Wow. So you're saying it's not only just the stores such as us aren't going to see them. As a distributor, you're not even able to place an order yourself for them.
No, it's amazing. And you and I had a conversation the other day with everything that's gone on in 2020. I mean, before the show, I was crunching numbers, and I'm sure you guys have talked about the amount of NIC checks that have gone on. And May was 3.7 million. June was 3.9 million. They've done over 19 million NIC checks just in the first 6 months of this year, which dwarfs all the NICS checks histories. But what's happening is there is a domino effect with manufacturing. There are so many components to putting together a gun and putting it into your store that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Like if you look at a handgun, there's the foam for the pistol box, there's the plastic for the pistol box, there's the trigger lock, there is the owner's manual, warranty card. Those are all subcontracted out, and even at a lower level, they're also subcontracting. All of these companies have been affected by COVID-19 because when you look at printing companies for the owner's manuals, well, they're non-essential. If you look at the molded injected companies that make the plastic pistol cases, they're non-essential. So it is dramatically affected our abilities to get inventory. And just to give you an idea, the company I currently work for, we average about and we're small, we've got about an $11 million inventory of just firearms, anything with a barrel and a trigger, $11 million. My current inventory is less than 400,000, which means, Eric, you have more inventory than I do.
Wow. That's incredible, Richie. I mean, that's just incredible.
I think I got a question for you, Rich. Got somebody would like to know if CZ USA will start production anytime soon of the P10 Micro.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't offer that line of product at my distributor right now, so I don't know. I do know some people over at CZ, but you know what I'll do? I'll make an inquiry. I'll ask.
I appreciate that. There you go, Matt.
Well, Richie, as always, thanks so much for taking the day to call in to us, getting out of bed early to call in. That was a joke, Rich. You out of bed yet?
You took me away from my project. I want to tell you what I'm doing right now, which might be kind of cool. I am restoring a World War II transit case for an Enfield T-Sniper.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. You meant to send pictures over on that.
Yeah.
I can definitely do that.
Perfect. Wait, thanks so much, Richie, for keeping us updated. I'm sure I'll talk to you this week. Stay safe over there, and thanks again for calling in. Our good buddy, Richie. Guys, when we come back from the bottom of the hour news, we're going to get to some news of our own. JC, I know you have a lot there, and we'll hit that, and we'll also hit Ed's Gun of the Week. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, Jeremy, good question on your PTSD. According to the VA, you are not red flagged. I went to my gun source, John, next to me here, and he found this information. But according to a 2017 study, looks like the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms had adopted a new procedure that defines mental defective. to include who lacks mental capacity to contract, manage their own affairs due to the injury or the illness. For veterans, that means the VA decides a veteran is mentally incompetent or adopts a fiduciary prohibiting records is created. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there, buddy. I mean, it depends on what your doctor says as far as how you're able to take care of yourself and make decisions. So anyways, I hope that helps you. Where did you find this information, John? So I can tell him to go read it, the whole thing.
Okay, this is on. It's Veterans in Guns at the DVA. What
DAV.
DAV. Veterans in Guns. DAV.org.
Yeah, go to DAV.org. Veterans and Guns. There's a big long article on there. It would take me the whole show to read it.
Most of the people on the do not buy list. Get this. 98% were veterans.
On the do not buy list?
Right, and they were adjudicated, because the law says if they were adjudicated as a mental defective, who's doing the adjudication? Were simply the clerks that were typing in. And if you needed help filling out your income taxes or something like that, I mean, if that was on there, if I was helping an ex-veteran do their taxes and stuff and it went on there, they listed that person as a mental defective and they weren't able to do it. So a senator from, forgive me, it's either Illinois.
Good. Put your ears on there if you would.
Yeah, a senator from either Illinois or Iowa, Grossley, was looking at this because he said that 98% of the people on the list of can't buy one considered a mental defective. Adjudication, I always thought meant going through a court. It doesn't. It just means that somebody in a position says you can't do it.
So it's a
and
clerk.
It turns out that a clerk on all these places were going, oh yeah, this guy can't do his own taxes, Korean vet or something. His son's helping him do the payment of the bills, stuff like that. So he's a mental defective, and it banned that person. So now it's something I should probably reinvestigate and see what Grossley was looking into at the senator, because he said I was doing a great disservice to our veterans. So even though it says, hey, we're not red flagging them, it could be some clerk at the VA who puts a note on there, and you may end up getting denied.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studio. Shall I say the new LAPD? Guys, I am just digging this.
Wow. That's the first time I've seen it. I heard him doing a construction when I was doing a class, but didn't have a chance. It's really impressive.
It is
really
impressive.
Yeah.
Big Ed, my good friend, sits to my far right. JC sits shoulder to shoulder with me. Took his temperature at the break. He's still good. My father and co-owner sits to my left. There, he's doing that.
Oh, it's all zeros.
The battery came out.
There you go.
So, guys, before we go any further, we have a lot of friends and family listening and watching, and
yes,
I think the listenership is gone quite a bit up. But I want to give a shout-out to a good friend that I've known for a long, long time. She's affectionately known around here as D1. So we'll just leave it at that. She is in the law enforcement community, and we admire her a lot. And so I actually had a chance to work with her last night a little bit. So give a little shout out to D1.
Yeah,
she knows.
She knows who she is.
She knows who she is. Yes, correct.
D1.
So, guys, we didn't get to the news early. JC, there is a ton of news.
There's a ton of news, and it's really important. So let's just jump right into it. We all know what happened to the McCluskeys, or at least to remind you that during one of the marches, which had constantly led to riots in the past, they were marching on the governor of Missouri's, or pardon me, the mayor of St. Louis, Missouri's house. It's a gated community. Gate was open. They had like 500 people coming in, but this has all turned out to, turned into violence. So one of the people living on the street, who happened to be an attorney, he and his wife came out. I mean, this was impromptu. They were barefoot, and they came out, but he had an AR, and she had a handgun. They didn't have their fingers on the trigger. They were just standing there, but they didn't know what was going to happen, and they felt threatened when 500 people come marching up, to their house. And they came out. I didn't hear threats were made. They just, my understanding is they just stood there. Well, of course, with the people going, oh, look at this. They're pointing guns at us. This is horrible. And so the city attorney went up and anyway, they had their guns taken away by the attorney, and they haven't pressed charges yet. But this is the McCluskey family. So, but this just happened on Sunday night on the June 28th. Well, so they're doing this investigation. If they had sent police to their house, taken away their firearms for what I don't know. I guess they considered it threatening when they stood there. But the senator, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, is now calling for a federal civil rights investigation into the attorney, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, and he's claiming that she is targeting the McCluskey family for using firearms to defend themselves and their property against a mob of protesters. Hawley sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney General William Barr on this Thursday morning, accusing Gardner of abusing her power in handling the investigation. And, the letter was just written. He said, this is an unacceptable abuse of power and a threat to the Second Amendment. And I urge you to consider a federal civil rights investigation into the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office to determine whether this investigation and pending prosecution violates the family's constitutional rights. So also, just to let you know, the governor of Missouri, Mike Parson, when he was in the legislature, he co-authored Missouri's Castle Doctrine. And in Missouri, not in Ohio, but in Missouri, the law justifies deadly force for those who are defending their homes from intruders, and that they have every right to protect their property. So they are at least taking a positive step into this, defending the Second Amendment. So we really haven't talked much about that.
No, we hadn't. And, somebody busts down the gates. What the mob or these rioters have been up to lately. You have to assume that may happen in this case. You have to be able to protect yourself. They didn't fire any rounds.
Start out normal,
right,
and then violence occurs. So I don't know if they busted, but it's a gate up. Maybe the gates were open. But anyway, they went up to protest the mayor, and they lived right on that street near the mayor, and they didn't know what was going on, and they stood out there and going, hey, this is what you got coming if it comes. So no charges, like I said, no charges have been filed, but they want to investigate that. So that's hats off to Josh Hawley for doing that, and for Governor Mike Parson for coming up with that, co-sponsoring that Castle Doctrine law. All right, here's another.
This one, JC. This one. If you're on our Facebook after the show, go and see our post immediately before the show, because that's what we're talking about.
Got to watch the police video on this. But so there's been a new police shooting in Michigan, but it teaches the leftists, as they say, some hard lessons. So. If you remember good old Joe Biden, okay? Well, Joe Biden gave advice to shoot an unarmed man in his leg. And here's what he said, though. He said, instead of standing, this is his quote, instead of standing there and teaching a cop when there's an unarmed person coming at you with a knife, I repeat, when there's an unarmed person coming at him with a knife or something, shoot him in the leg instead of the heart. I mean, that's was Joe Biden's advice, okay? Well, fortunately, Michigan Sheriff's deputy did not heed Joe Biden's advice in shooting a, quote, unarmed man with a knife in the leg. This just happened this week. So this happened on Tuesday, the 14th. So it didn't begin inside of a dairy store. It was in Michigan. A 43-year-old man named Sean Ruiz was refused service because he wasn't wearing a mask. A 77-year-old customer who was wearing a mask confronted Ruiz about it, so Ruiz did the only respectable thing he could. He stabbed the 77-year-old in the store and fled. An Eaton County Sheriff's deputy spotted Ruiz soon afterwards, stopped him. It was a female deputy who had 22 years on the force. Ruiz got out. You could watch this all in the video. He got out of his car the moment it was stopped, jumped out with a knife in each hand.
It looked like a screwdriver. Like maybe it was a screwdriver in one hand?
The report from the police lieutenant said it was a knife. So one other report said it was a screwdriver, but he had a knife, and the report from the lieutenant said it was there were two knives. But anyway, the bottom line is I guess Joe Biden would have said that he was doubly unarmed. So if he was unarmed with a knife, he's doubly unarmed with two knives. So the body cam shows when he got out, the officer said, drop the weapons, drop the weapons, drop the weapons. He repeated everything she said as he came at her, and when he got within 10 feet, which is a little bit too close to mine, he began slashing at her with a long knife in each hand. The body cam shows that. The deputy opened fire, shooting Reese 5 times at close range, and guess what? It did not stop him.
In the legs.
She shot center mass, and it didn't stop him. He kept coming at her. And the video shows that her weapon jammed. She was backing up, so I don't know why it jammed, but her weapon jammed just as the suspect lunged at her. As a matter of fact, the knife in his hand hit her gun. She backed up, cleared the jam. She clears it instantly, goes back. He dropped the knife when he hit her gun. He reaches down to pick it up, and she put 5 more rounds into him after clearing that jam. And then he still was reaching for his knife as he's laying on the ground. So he expired at the hospital, and but there you go.
So in the Joe Biden world, the officer should have shot him in the leg.
Yeah,
even though in this case, the center of mass shots didn't stop him in time before we talk about that 15-foot rule where he could have inflicted harm. I mean, he swung at her with the knife. It just happened to hit her gun. But in the Joe Biden world,
shooting at someone rushing at you with moving legs, that's the unarmed person with the gun.
I believe she hit him in the head too, and it still didn't stop him.
It's
obviously
incredible.
but you can watch the whole thing on video. It happens really quick. The video's only about a minute long.
I saw it, and it looked like that this person was close enough. The reason why her gun jammed was that the knife was sticking in the ejection port.
Oh,
and
really?
Jammed. We saw that. Yeah. That's how close he was, and at
that point he had already had rounds on him.
5 rounds on him.
It just goes to show you that it just.
So why do you need guns with more than 10 rounds? Well, guess what?
There you go.
This is exactly
But
why.
kudos to the officer. Training.
Exactly.
Paid off.
She did
She kept her cool and did a great job. And she's still here to talk about it.
Her name here, it's on there, but she is.
One of the things you notice with that. We talk about that 15-foot rule. I mean, if there is someone with a knife within that, you're in jeopardy if you don't have your firearm out and ready.
On the tumbler drill, the court decided 21 feet, and I think they've even expanded a little bit.
Really?
Then,
So she had enormous restraint. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know how she waited so long.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
soon as she made, excuse me, as soon as she made the stop, he came out of the car.
Immediately.
When he was still by his car, she was telling him to drop the weapon,
verbalizing it.
Yeah, and she must
many
have
times.
And she must have said that several times as he was walking towards her.
Yep.
Yeah.
She
She's
gave him
waited
every
until 10
opportunity.
feet. That's a little bit too close. If you had 2 long knives.
Well, considering what has happened here the last several months with police shootings, probably that was on her mind.
Of course.
That's the last thing she wants to do is shoot him.
Right, exactly.
Now, let me ask you guys this, okay? We're all sensible people here, right?
Well,
do you think at that
3 out of
exact
4 ain't bad.
do you think at that precise moment, through her mind, she was worried about ethnicity, race, gender, binary, non-binary, sexual orientation, anything?
She was worried about saving her life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Had nothing to do with those attributes of
now,
a person.
I don't know the follow-up to this or the outcome, but are they saying that is anybody saying she was in the wrong?
Tuesday, so I don't know what the fallout is.
Yeah.
But they have house cameras that were showing what was going on that were set up on their doorbell. So you could see every bit of what happened, and there's just no doubt. I mean, the guy just got done stabbing somebody, which he probably was aware of in the police report, and he came right at her. But you waited that 10 feet. That Tuller drill, which is what the court had decided, that 21 feet, if a guy has a knife within 21 feet, he can be at you and give you a fatal stab within 1.5 seconds. So you don't have much time to respond at 10 feet. She had her car door open, which was good. So you have some protection a little bit there. But she was backed up.
She did.
Yeah.
JC, before we go into break, can you skip to the Portland police shooting?
Well, this is a really so as we know, stuff's breaking out everywhere. Shootings soar in Portland. So in Portland, because you remember they cut down funding. They ended the police gun violence reduction team. That was one of the cuts they made. So what's happened? Well, this July, it's almost a 400% increase in shootings over last July, and they just stopped it. And 92 people were shot in New York City, which has these toughest laws, in the last 7 days, 11 of them fatally. And just so you know, requests for carry permits in Iowa have tripled so far this year. And we got more to that, too.
And right here, Jim Scanlon, who was on with us last week, started to look into right here in Columbus what's occurring. And he said has been so many shootings that he's having a hard time compiling them all. he does know that when he looked at June over June, June of 2020 versus June of 2019, a 340% increase. And as we said at the top of the show, the mayor came out this week and said, we need more gun crimes or gun laws. Well, that would help him.
That's all because of the coronavirus. Though.
Right. So in his eyes, we need stiffer gun laws, and we challenged him. Tell us these were kids. A lot of these shootings were 17, 18, and 19-year-olds shooting people. How did they get a gun? It's illegal.
Yeah, why don't they follow up on that?
They don't.
Now, are you talking about the article in the Dispatch that Ron O'Brien was quoted? Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. These kids have it. There's no law. I mean, I challenge a reporter to ask the mayor what law would have stopped this. Murder is illegal. Having a gun as a 17-year-old is illegal. So what law, Mr. Mayor, would have stopped this?
Exactly.
Ed, before we go into break, what's your Chicago update?
We're going to start looking like Chicago here pretty soon here in good old Columbus. Year to date in Chicago, get this, 2,067 shot, 410 homicides, 307 of them black, 64 Hispanic. And you can figure out the rest on the other ones. This week alone in Chicago, 137 shot, 23 homicides.
137 shots.
137. 23 of them dead. And guess how many the police did, Eric?
Because we're doing a rolling total on the police.
We're keeping that track
Yes.
number. Guess how many? You know what? You're going to be astounded.
How many?
It's still the same, 3.
It's been the same, Ed, for the last 7 weeks.
Yes.
Incredible. When we come back, we're going to get to a couple other pieces of news. We might get to Ed's Gun of the Week. I'm not sure. If you want to jump in, 614-821-9886 is the number. We're on target, broadcasting live from our brand new set at LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back.
Am I on? I'm on. Okay. All right, Paul, thanks for your input. She did do a great job. And Matt, I hope we got you everything you wanted to know taken care of. Everybody else out there, you have any questions, call in, text in. Jeremy.
Mark is on hold.
Mark is on hold. Mark. Do you know what Mark wants to talk?
Have you seen, Mark, the video of Joyce Beatty, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, taking the swipe at officers? No, unless you've gone out there and looked at it on your own, because it doesn't hit the media.
Yeah, she swung at him. He had just turned, and she missed. But
I have an update on the protest at Sawmill 161.
What you got?
One person's there.
She should have been stuffed and cuffed just like the rest of them.
Right, and then.
Well, she got maced.
Well, she got maced, and that's why they want to stop the use of mace. Because
they made sure they showed that part, but they didn't show her swinging at the officer.
And the double amputee, how horrific was that?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, yes.
Until you watch the whole video.
The police, how could they do that to that poor guy?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just crazy.
I mean, and of course you have the there are the Barney Fife police out there, but the 99.9% of them are out there doing a good job and have no respect from the public.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right. Hey, thanks for giving us a call, Mark.
Yeah,
thanks
really
for
appreciate you
listening in. And thanks for, Popo, you said a customer stopped by?
A customer just stopped by, gave us an update on the protest at 161 on Sawmill Road. He said there was one guy on the corner.
One guy.
One guy. Kind of doing a jig or something, holding the sign.
Is he holding the sign up? Maybe he's flipping it around or something closing it.
I have no idea. Now the actual protest might be someplace else, but that guy was there.
Thanks for stopping in. Give us that update. JC, we are getting close on time.
All right. We'll just cover the last of the stuff pretty quickly here. We all know what happens when Americans are concerned about their personal safety. What do? They buy firearms. And Richie alluded to it, but there are more guns being sold ever. This June, it was the highest record ever in firearm sales ever since it started collecting data in '98. 3.9 million firearms were sold in June, and that's 1.4 million firearms beyond the number you would normally expect. It's just been incredible. I looked and added up all the number of NICS checks that have been done so far this year. 19,180,000 NICS checks. Not all those are firearms purchases, but I told some people a long time ago that they did a study, and about 68% of those are purchases, which comes over 13 million firearms purchased. Handguns, twice as many handguns as rifles or shotguns, so people are still looking for that, but they have to defend themselves. If the police are going to be defunded and not going to be there, you're going to have to become your own policeman, and that's what unfortunately
it is. And people are seriously concerned about their own safety, JC. People who are otherwise, who don't want to have to stand up and protect themselves because they have their own lives they're going about their daily business. We have seen it in their eyes in here.
The criminals are out there. What do you think they're going to do when they find out there's less police? Crime's going to go up. Shooting's going to go up. The rioting.
And we're seeing it.
We're seeing it. It's really crazy.
The good thing is, too, our training has gone through the roof. Our training, it's so, we were concerned. 70-80% of the people we've been selling to have been new firearms owners. And you want them to be trained and trained the right way. And I'll tell you what, JC, they are. It is. I mean, you've taught how many classes? And Ed, you're starting to jump in on them.
Do them every day now.
It's incredible.
Yep.
So.
People want the knowledge. They want to know how to protect themselves.
And we're glad. We really
way.
encourage you to do that. If you know anyone who has one and needs something, we have a handgun 101 basic. We have, the concealed carry, but we have classes. So sign up. We're teaching.
Yep. Hey, guys, I'm going to do this on the fly here because we have about a minute left. Can you guys stick around for about 5 more minutes? And, JC, we can get to that Fordham piece.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll do it for the Facebook followers.
Okay.
What do you think, Ed?
Great piece.
So, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, we're going to I got to do a quick shout-out for some commercials, and then we'll come right back and do this last story because it is worthwhile.
This is worthwhile.
So it will be right here on Facebook, so just hang with us through it. Thanks for spending the last hour with us. Have a safe week. Please be careful if you're around Sawmill 161 area or downtown.
Don't hit the one guy standing there. Okay.
Hey, if he's on the sidewalk, I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Don't
let him surround your car.
We didn't get to the gun of the week, but we have the gun of the week here. It's the Rock River AR-556.
No, that doesn't
nice
gun.
I had to get it in.
We'll get it.
Hey, but I do want to say, you guys at the firearms workers here, they did a sweet job on cleaning my gun up and sighting it in. Great job, LEPD Firearms.
There you go.
Range.
All right, guys. We'll be back on Facebook here in a minute.
Goodbye.
Ed, you pushed the limit.
Yes, I did. I'm off probation, too.
You are?
You there, Em?
1 second.
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready whenever you are.
Here we go, ma'am. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you updated on the latest news and... Oh, hold on a sec. I got to flip that around now because Big Ed needs it. No, you're all right, Ed. Okay, here we go. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you updated on the latest news, and Big Ed has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in Saturday at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you updated on the latest news, and Big Ed has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road.
No, he doesn't. I did it.
This is Eric from OnTarget. Today we keep you updated on the latest news, and Big Ed has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in today at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You as well. Bye.
Bye. All right, hang tight, people on Facebook here. We're going to try this. All right. So, Ed, are you still on the Facebook feed?
Yes, I still am here.
Okay, now your
Good.
mic's back on.
Thank
Papa,
you.
put your mic on. Ed, can you see if they can hear us still?
Can you guys hear me on Facebook? Send me a yes or a no or thumbs up, something, please. Hello, Sam. Can you hear me? Nobody is responding. Facebook fans. Yes, Chris just said yes, they can hear us. Very
Awesome.
good.
Guys, I think we're on.
All
We've
right.
disconnected from the station. We're free. We're free.
Free at
So
last.
now we can say whatever
Free
the
at
hell
last.
we want.
That's right, there we go. And I'm not doing Gun of the Week twice.
Well, you didn't
That
do it.
wasn't
We're gonna
Gun
have
of
to
the
talk
Gun of the
about
Week.
all the stuff you've
You
done
didn't say
to
how
it.
long it had to be.
Edward.
Well, Edward,
Okay,
come on.
guys. So thanks for sticking around and listening to us, guys. This might
Appreciate
be
it.
something we do ongoing. We wanted to test it out here. But we did have one story that we really didn't get to that is noteworthy.
It's really
and
a big
JC,
story. It's
I
noteworthy.
mean, tell
By-
us about Fordham University.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to hear about it. But Fordham University. So Fordham University is a private school in New York City. It's in the Bronx. It's a kind of exclusive school, I would guess, in the fact that it's a small membership, but it's got some notable alumni. For example, Alan Alda, the actor, graduated from Fordham. Denzel Washington graduated from Fordham. Geraldine Ferraro, the vice presidential candidate, graduated from there. And President Donald Trump graduated
Really?
from Fordham. So
Whoa,
these are
whoa, whoa.
all notable alumni from the university there in New York City. Well, they have a student there. He is an immigrant. His name is Austin Tong. He came from China with the parents. He's a senior there, okay? And he just got put on probation for the rest of his time at the university.
Oh, he had to do something bad, JC.
Oh, it was horrible
I mean,
what he did.
Probably like me.
He posted something on Instagram, okay? Well, right after the riots were taking place early on in June, a minority, one African-American, a retired police captain, was killed by protesters while he was defending one of his friends'
I remember
stores.
that,
So what did Tong do? He actually posted a picture of this captain in uniform on there, and he put that on there and basically just said that he wanted to. Why did he do that? Well, he said he was expressing his disappointment that people didn't care about the death of a black policeman, but they were caring about the death of this other person, and he basically said in a letter that he wrote to them after his suspension, he said, I believe Black Lives Matter means that all Black Lives matter, including this police officer. That was my addition. Including the loss of life of a patriotic police officer that dedicated his life to his family and community. So he said, this post was not only expressive of my 198964. And goes, what does that mean? Well, in 1989, that is when the Chinese Democratic Movement moved on Tiananmen Square on June the 4th to show their support for a democratic Chinese society. And as a Chinese immigrant, he thought that was important. So he posted that with the gun, but saying, hey, this is what he wanted. So he said, his quote also was, I want to honor the memory of an important Chinese democratic movement and the appreciation of the right to bear arms in America. As an immigrant, a big, beautiful America, to me, is the right that it gives its citizens to bear arms, not only to protect themselves, but also to keep the government in check. Well, boy, they didn't like that. So this university, which claims as part of their doctrine that we want freedom and thinking and research and we want to reveal the truth, that's kind of what they said, except they didn't want his truth. They didn't seem to want the fact that they're students. So what they did was they took it forth. They looked at these two postings that he did on his Instagram, and they said that this was threatening, intimidating, and disorderly conduct, put him on permanent probation until he's not allowed to enter the campus of his university without every time with the dean's permission as to why he is there and what he's doing. He has to take all of his classes online, not allowed there to take any classes.
Because he showed some love.
Well, but it goes on. So they also said that they're making him take courses from the Multicultural Affairs Office, and he has to write a letter of apology.
To who?
Well, that's what I said. To who and for what? So, so here's what he did. Instead of, I would have just sat there, but he took the high road. He just went on to say that, he was subjected actually to a Soviet-style interrogation and punishment by a university that claims to protect free speech. And he just said this. This is his quote. He goes, "America is under attack. Americans are being silenced. I hope to use my punishment as a milestone and reflection of the constitutional crisis that we are facing today as a society. Coming to this country as an immigrant, one would think America is a nation of law and free speech. That is no longer the case. Not simply did Fordham University break its promise and punish me, but it signaled to students nationwide that free speech is a political trap that will destroy you." So my hat's off.
You know what?
To
we need to listen to these people such as him and Luis, who comes in here, who's seen it in their own countries.
Yeah, we still have to get him in here.
We do.
Yeah,
we do. He's been.
Well, I'd like to have Tong. I don't know if we can reach him. He's done other reports.
Where did you find that story at? I got some people asking you to post it.
That was on. If you type in campusreform.com, that's an exclusive.
Campusreform.com.
Fordham University, Austin Tong.
There you go,
and
folks.
it goes on, and you can see an interview with him down here. That's what went off on the radio. I didn't know how that happened.
Check it out, Dan. There's a video as well.
But you really need to see that. This is what's happening.
So we're no longer in America.
Yeah, right. Like not now. If you're in a university, you want to have some free speech. You want to show something. You want to support the Chinese Democratic Movement. Oh no! He held an empty gun, finger off the trigger down, without any threatening, just saying the date of the Tiananmen Square incident.
Well, guys, thanks for Ed.
Real quick, I had a couple of people asking, do we have ammo?
We do. There's some limits depending on what you want.
5.56, 9mm.
5.56. We can do 5 boxes if you come in just off the street. 9mm. We're down to 1 box a person of defense, 1 box of range if you come in off the street. Many of the other calibers right now are only if you purchase a firearm or are using the range.
Okay.
It's just getting that low and stuff.
It's just getting that low.
Ed, awesome keeping the Facebook guys going.
Hey.
This might be something we continue to play with a little bit.
As long as we can stop this thing from cutting in and out, I think we can probably do another
awesome
hour.
set. Ed,
nice set.
It is. It's good, guys.
You did well.
Love the set.
If you have questions out there, want to send us an email, OnTarget@lepd.com is the way to get us. Ed, you had a lot of people email me last week or the week before who asked. You asked if they would stand up for a Back the Blue rally. Tons of people emailed me and said they would.
I was going to ask you. That's good to hear.
It was great. So, thanks, guys. Be safe out there, and until next week.
Hey, take care, everybody. Peace and love.
Thanks.
We're out of here.
Bye.